we're going to talk about how you can pay off your debt and how you can do it really quickly. And in this video, I'm going to take you to an interview I did with one of our students who paid off $22,000 in less than 9 months. And I love hearing stories like this. And so I just wanted to bring her on and chat a little bit about what she did, how she did it, if there's anything unique and special that kind of happened that allowed her to pay off so much debt so quickly. So if that sounds good to you, just stay tuned and we're going to get started in just a second. All right, guys, I am excited to have Shannon Brown on the line today, and she has a really cool story I found out about. And so I just wanted to bring her on, have her share a little bit of her story and how she paid off $22,000 in 9 months, which is really, really fast. I'm always impressed by these super achievers who can do really, really great things, and I want to see how they did it and all that. So that's why I brought her on. So without further ado, Shannon, thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me share my story.
No, it's my pleasure. 22,009 months. I mean, I feel like that takes some level of superpower. What was the big thing that really amplified it for you?
You know what? It was around that time that, I never even thought that, living debt-free was a thing, a possibility,
Yeah.
But it was everywhere all of a sudden. Every blog post I saw, books, discussions with friends. And so it was, obviously it was God, calling us. That was what we were supposed to do at that time. So he had his hand in the whole story and the whole 9 months. So everything that happened, it was absolutely miraculous. There'd be, a bigger income tax refund than we thought there would be. There'd be, an opportunity for me to make more money from the blog, or I'm also an architect, so I got a job doing that from home for a short time, and it was just crazy stuff happened that there was no way I didn't go out looking for it. It just came to us. And so it was
I hear that. Okay, so that happened for us. It was one of those things where we took the steps forward to whatever. We did our part, and then we watched all these miraculous things just come in like wind on our back to help us get it paid off really fast. And I hear stories like that all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that because there really is something to it, and I love when God shows up, and it's like this was not a coincidence. So yeah, because we had that too. So I completely get that. Go ahead.
It was exactly what you're saying. Is we took that step and we said, we know this is what we're supposed to do, and we have no idea how we're going to do it. Yeah. And so we thought it would take us years of very, frugal living, and we still live very, very frugally still. But we set out and we actually put an automatic payment extra toward our loan, and we said we don't know where this. We did $39 the first month, and we said we don't know where this is going to come from. And sure enough, it was always there, and then we were able to, of course, increase that amount. It seemed like every month there'd be something else. So it was
That's awesome.
Really amazing.
All right, so through the process, were there any mistakes or any things that you wish you would have done differently, in that 9-month process?
Oh gosh, it went so miraculously.
It's okay if there's not. I'm just curious.
Yeah, there's nothing that I can think of, offhand that I would change. It went really, really well. And I think just taking that first step was the key. Yeah. Just to start and not be afraid to make that goal, even though it seemed like an impossible goal at that time. Yeah. And it really did work out.
Yeah, it is. There's something about taking the first step. And yeah, because there's so many people, I think, who just don't take that first step, and they never see what's possible, because it is an act of faith. I mean, to some extent, just to decide I'm going to do this, So, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the reason I asked the question is because I think there's a lot of people who, in our case, I was completely on board, and I had to get my wife on board and kind of sell it to her a little bit. And so, and one of the things that I did that helped, I think, but I could have done a lot better, was been a bit more supportive of her, because she was making much more of a sacrifice than I was, because I was already used to living below my means a bit, and she was used to living way above, and so she was the one who had to make a major change. And anyway, so that was one thing that if I were answering the question, that'd be one thing that I would probably do a little bit differently. Is probably be a little bit softer, and possibly be a little bit less rigid and more, I don't know, just be willing to make more sacrifices to accommodate her and her pace, I guess. Did you have any issues like that?
Well, you know what? My husband got on board really fast after, I said, this is what I really think we should do, and I just kind of gave him the space to think about it. And within a couple of weeks, he was on board.
Yeah.
But that's a question that I get a lot from my readers about, how do I get my spouse on board? And
Yeah.
so I know that's a big issue for a lot of couples. And we, living on one income, we had a lot of experience, a lot of mistakes leading up to that point where we started to try to pay off debt. And that's really when we started learning the right way to do it, the right way to budget. I had tried to keep a budget for so long. Every month every month we'd go over, and it wasn't until we finally just made like some small changes, like learning about the zero sum budget, and using a couple like apps. We used Mint at the time, so it would automatically kind of categorize and let us see an up to date, every day, every week. So a couple things like that. But yeah, we definitely made a lot of mistakes before.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great to hear that it just was a smooth 9 months. It just kind of went. I mean, yeah. So after that, so once you got out of debt, how did being out of debt compare to how you envisioned being out of debt?
Well, that's, I've done a few interviews about our story, and I get this question. Well, I get the question a lot of, what changed for you, or what did you do different after you finally made that last payment? And honestly, we haven't changed our lifestyle that much because of, the goal of living mostly on one income.
Yeah.
And, after being debt free, there's a lot of, goals. There's a lot of next steps. Like we, now we're saving. Well, first, as soon as we paid off our debt, we started saving for an emergency fund. And then once we got that done, now we're saving for a house. So, there's always something. And of course, with the kids growing, and we just kind of keep using that momentum, I guess, of the feeling of success that, okay, we did this, so we can take the next step, or we can take the next step.
Yeah, and I just love how it builds like a snowball, because once that debt's paid off, you free up all this extra income to move towards those goals so much faster. Right. And that's just one of my favorite things, is just watching that thing just speed up faster and faster towards those other goals,
And the other thing is, similar to that is, during our debt payoff, I increased my income from home. And so then I have that little bit of extra to contribute to our next goals. So it's not like that suddenly went away, or that I, quit doing it. I've learned so much about, building my business and everything that I can use as we continue on in our journey. Yeah,
that's awesome. All right. So one more question, and then I'll let you get back to things. But so if you have one of your good friends comes up to you and basically says, I hear what you did. You paid off your debt. What an awesome thing to do. What advice would you give them if they were asking for advice? What would you say?
Oh gosh, I could probably go on talking about it all day long, but probably the first piece of advice I would say is just get an idea find out where you actually are. And a lot,
Hmm.
I know for us, and then a lot of my readers, they don't even know how much they owe, how much they're spending every month, or where their
Yeah.
money's going.
Yeah.
So if you can get a picture of that and just get a grasp of, okay, it's maybe not as big as you think it is. It's maybe not as impossible as you think it is. That is a really good first step. And then, like for us, just taking that first step of committing to paying extra, like even a
Yeah.
tiny bit can really take months or even years off of your debt payoff.
Yeah.
So feeling like, oh, I don't have any extra, I can't make a difference, I might as well not even try. Like when you really look at the numbers, like we did a debt snowball calculator, we saw, okay, just this little bit is going to take off, I can't remember exactly how much it was, but several months,
Yeah.
and got us there so much closer. Okay, well, what if we do a little bit more and a little bit more? And it was really just inspiring to see that. So
Yeah.
that helps get us going.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time to get on the call and sharing your story and everything with us. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. All right, I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, I would love it if you could leave us a thumbs up down below. And on this channel, just as a reminder, what we do here is we give you practical tips and strategies to put more money in your pocket, and then we also kind of explore some of the timeless biblical principles and how to manage that money. So if that sounds good to you as well, you can hit that subscribe button so you can hear from us as we create new stuff. But that is all for today, so have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.